Alright, so I'm bringing you another deck profile concept. This one is Lightsworn Herald. How I came up with this deck is I wanted to play Herald. I actually kind of like Herald decks. Most decks like this, where it just goes straight into one play and then tries to stop your opponent from doing anything, I don't like, but I like Herald for some reason. I don't know, maybe it's because it's kind of like a control deck, and I like control decks a lot. But anyways, most Herald decks use an agent engine, and I really don't like that engine at all. I feel like the only reason people do this is because agents happen to be the best fairies, and I don't really think it does anything for the deck. The only thing it does is it deck thins a bit, because you search your deck for Venus when you summon Earth, and when you summon Venus, you pull Shine Balls out of your deck. So it deck thins a little bit, and that's pretty much it. But I decided to deck thin a lot more with a Lightsworn engine. I feel like this will allow me to go through my deck a lot quicker, and allows me to play a bunch of draw cards with Solar Recharge. So the deck is a lot faster than Agent builds of Herald. And I came up with this deck a long time ago, but it didn't really work because there weren't any power plays. I had two Christia as power plays, and sometimes you couldn't get that off. So the deck didn't really work. But since then, Christia has been bumped up to 3, and they released Soul Charge and Saphira. So now the deck has lots of power plays, and it still has the speed. Um, so the deck is a lot better than when I first thought of it. The only problem is that Soul Charge to 1 really hurts this deck, because 3 Soul Charge is your most consistent play after you get Herald out. So this is my build with 3 Soul Charge, and after I finish showing you this one, I'll show you my first idea for a new build after Soul Charge goes to 1. But that doesn't have any testing, so I don't know how good that'll be. Anyways, so I'm playing 3 Herald, maximum number. You want to get it as quickly as possible, and if you get any extras, then they're just fairies that you can discard for its own effect. 2 Saphiras, you don't want to get more than 1, but you do want to draw the 1, or at least search for it. If you have both Saphira and Herald out at the same time, then it's really hard for your opponent to do anything, because you'll discard a fairy with Herald, and then during your end phase, you'll put it back in your hand with Saphira. The best effect, in my opinion, is that add 1 light monster from your graveyard to your hand. I think that's the best one, because you're guaranteed to get a fairy into your hand, and you can also abuse Honest with this. I've never actually used the discard 1 random card from your opponent's hand, but I have used draw 2 cards and discard 1 when I had 1 that I specifically wanted to discard. And this is also really good for turboing through your deck if you get a Saphira out before you can manage to get a Herald out. Sometimes that happens. If you draw into Saphira and you search for Advanced Ritual Art, then you can summon this, and this effect right here is really good for getting your Herald out quickly. 3 Christia. Christia plus Herald is game usually. You have to be careful because Christia can shut down your own deck, but obviously it's really good. You can also normal summon this by tributing Galanduo, or you can special summon it with Soul Charge. So it's not totally dead, and if it is dead, then you just discard it because it's a fairy. So I'm playing 3 because I want to get to this as much as possible, and I don't find that it clogs. 3 Manju, pretty obvious, because you want to search for your Herald or your Advanced Ritual Art, and this can do either. So this is the best searcher for spiritual decks. 1 Honest is really obvious. Everything's a light monster, and with Saphira, this is extremely abusable. 2 Galanduo, mostly for stall. It's a fairy, light, and it's level 4, so it's got amazing stats. The attack and defense don't really even matter. It can be kind of easy for your opponent to get rid of just by popping it, which is unfortunate. But this is a good way to stall sometimes if you're trying to get your Herald out and you don't have it yet. 3 Gakutano Megami. I wish I could play 4 normals, because sometimes I run out. You really, really need your Daigusto Emerald to put the Megamis back in your deck, because you are going to run out, and you will run out of Megamis most games. Usually you'll be able to get 1 or 2 ritual summons off before you run out. You'll occasionally draw into all 3, and that's problematic, and it's tough to play out of that. And then for the Lightsworns, I'm running 3 Celestia and 3 Lila. Celestia is a fairy, so you can discard it with Herald to get its effect. It's also level 5, so it allows you to go into rank 5 plays when you have Soul Charge. And then Lila is the best Lightsworn monster in terms of effect. It's not a fairy, but its effect is so good in this deck that I play it anyways. And this is a really key part of the deck. It's really good for getting rid of floodgates. It maxed out Advanced Ritual Art. I would probably play 3 if I could. This is really good when you mill it, because Preparation of Rites can add it from your grave to your hand. So that's one thing that Lightsworn do. They basically allow you to search for Advanced Ritual Art by milling it. Advanced Ritual Art is way better than any other ritual cards because it doesn't need anything to be in your hand for it to work. You just need to have a normal in your deck. And it also works for both Saphira and Herald. So if you have Preparation of Rites and you have Advanced Ritual Art in one of the two, so you just use this to summon the first one, Preparation of Rites for the other one, and then put the Advanced Ritual Art you just used back in your hand, and then you summon out the other one. So it's a really good combo there, and that happens quite often actually. Preparation of Rites is ridiculous. You have the combo I just said, and it also allows you to search for your first ritual monster if you need it, and if you mill Advanced Ritual Art, it'll put it back in your hand. So then I'm playing the 4 Lightsworn spells just to get milling, searching, and drawing. So those are really good. 3 Soul Charge. This is absolutely ridiculous in this deck. Usually you can summon 2 Exceed monsters with this. You can summon basically any ones you want out of these, any 2 you want. And in considering 4, 5, and 6 are some of the best levels, especially when you have light monsters involved, this is really good. 2 Pot of Duality. This can be tricky because you can't actually do any of your plays if you don't special summon, but sometimes you don't have any plays anyways, so you just need to fix your hand. Duality does that for you. It's also really good once you're set up because you can just get whatever's the best card. Usually this will guarantee that you get a fairy with your draw. And then 3 Upstart, you want to make your deck as small as possible. Side deck, I haven't really done enough testing to get the side deck down pat. There's not really very much you want to side in. MST is probably the most common thing that you want to side in this deck. It's also hard to side out cards. The cards that I feel are safe to side out are 1 Saphira, 1 to 2 Christia, 1 Galanduo, and 1 to 2 Dualities. I think siding anything else out messes too much with the consistency of the deck. And then for the extra deck, all the best rank 4, 5, and 6s, and you can play all the ones that are light specific. So the best ones, Karen Gorgon is really good, especially because Breakthrough Skill is a problem for Herald decks. Castel is probably the one I make the second most out of the entire extra deck. You might want to play 2 of this. And then Daigusto Emerald is the most important. You make this a lot to put your Megamis back in your deck. And you can also use this for the second effect. You can special summon Megami from the grave for rank 6 plays. So that actually does come up. If you play 2 of anything, you would play 2 of this. I have wanted to before, at least a couple times. Volcasaurus is probably another one that I use a lot. Soul Charge plus Volcasaurus is obviously really good. It's worth noting I'm not playing Gaia Charger because the only way I can actually summon Volcasaurus is through Soul Charge, which means I'm not going to have a battle phase anyways, so the fact that I can't attack directly usually doesn't matter. Pleiades is the rank 5 I make the most often. It's obviously really good. And then the rank 6s, I actually make all of these quite often. Usually you bring back Megamis with Soul Charge to summon rank 6s, and this is obviously another form of negation that you can just stack on top of Herald to, or even if you don't have Herald out yet, you can negate stuff with this. And Gauntlet Launcher is really good for clearing fields, and Ptolemy is really good for putting fairies back in your hand, especially Honest. So, and then for the next format with 1 Soul Charge, my replacements that I want to try out are Sonic Bird and Dichotomy. I haven't tried this out at all yet. This is just my theory. So Sonic Bird, because getting to the ritual spell is the hardest thing that you can do, and then Dichotomy, because I want to be able to make use of my milling, and it also can put Megami back in the deck, which can be critical. I know that Avarice is insanely good in this deck. Dichotomy obviously is not as good, but I'm always going to have a fairy, and then I just need 2 more, and I am potentially milling Saphiras, Lilas, and Sonic Birds, as well as any extra deck monsters I make. This could be dead. I haven't tested it all, so we'll see. I could see it being good, though. I want to at least try it out. So this deck usually wins or loses based off of how well you draw. It can beat any deck, even the best ones of the format, and it can also lose to any deck, even decks that aren't meta at all. So that can be kind of frustrating. I don't recommend this deck as a competitive deck, but if you want to fool around with Herald, it's definitely fun, and I think it's more consistent than other Herald builds I've seen. So that's my Lightsworn Herald deck with Saphira. Hopefully you enjoyed the profile. If you did, be sure to check out some of my other stuff.